here this morning for Wellness Wednesday. So it's just me today. So I want to know how you are all doing. How's things in Easter holidays if you've got kids, or how are you doing generally with part of the world start opening back up? Who has been to the hairdressers? We had the barber here last night and my son just so needed a haircut. It was like he had a big helmet on his head and he's never asked for a haircut in his life. In fact, it's quite a traumatic experience generally for him. He's really not that comfortable with having his haircut, and he was like, "Mummy, when can I have my haircut?" So finally we got the barbers in last night. I haven't seen to myself yet, but you know, I've got long hair so I can kind of get away with it. So have you been anywhere? Have you been out for any pub lunches in the garden? Or are you not ready to go out yet? Let me know how you're feeling about that. I have not been in a rush to get out, to be honest. It's a bit too cold for me to be sitting out, and I'm not that worried to get out to the pub at the moment. So life is continuing as normal for me. But this morning I wanted to talk to you about how to avoid wasting time and money when you are looking for answers when it comes to your health, because there's a lot of different things to try out there. There's a lot of different things that might work for you. There isn't only one way. So I'm going to be sharing today a little bit about what I find works for me and my clients. There are other things that work out there, but there's a lot of things that are not going to work. And there's a lot of things, a lot of patterns that I see where women try the same things again and again and again, and it just doesn't work. And because I've kind of got that, I guess, almost a bird's eye perspective, because I speak to so many women, I can share with you the mistakes that women are making and that I've made, of course, in the past. When I say women, I'm part of that collective. And yeah, I just don't think these things are ever going to work. So to save you the time and money, I thought I'd go through some of them with you today. How does that sound? Does that sound like something that's going to be helpful for you? So when you're looking for you want to solve your health problem, when I'm talking to the women in this group specifically, so you gorgeous ladies, I am talking about hormonal health generally. So sometimes you might have something else outside of hormones, but hormones really affect how we feel in many, many ways. So let's talk about some of the ways that your hormonal health will affect your energy, for example. So hormonal health is massively linked to energy. The two are intrinsically linked. So if you want good energy, you need good hormonal health. If you're struggling with your emotions or your moods, let's say, that's hormonal health. If you're struggling with your menstrual cycle, so that might be things like a really heavy bleed, clotting, a long bleed. It might be your period, your moods just before your period. It may be that your energy is crashing just before or at the time or after. It's different. Everyone is different within their cycle. But all of that is to do with hormones. Things like your hunger signal. So if they feel like they're out of balance, or your blood sugar levels, you're getting shaky and hungry, that's hormonal health. There's really a lot of things linked to hormones, isn't there? Your libido. So if you feel like you've lost your sex drive and that's important for you, maybe you're in a relationship and you don't want to lose your sex drive, that comes back to hormonal health, and so does sleep. So if you're really struggling with your sleep, actually balancing your hormones can really, really help with your sleep. So there's a lot there, isn't there, that hormonal health covers. And probably for most of you, I mean, if you're watching this live on replay, first of all, hello to you if you're catching up on replay. If you're joining me live, thank you for joining me live. Give me a hello in the comments. I love to know that I'm not just talking to myself, and that I'm hanging out with other people as well, and that this information is useful for you. And you want me to keep showing up and sharing it. So thank you so much. I really do genuinely love hanging out with you here in this group. I love doing the lives with you. And I haven't forgotten, I still need to do Monday's cooking. It's because it's Easter, and probably like you, I'm balancing all the things at the moment, or it's the Easter break. And so I just need to fit that in. Okay, so tell me if you're suffering from any symptoms that I haven't mentioned already, where you feel like hormonal health doesn't cover it. So if you don't know much about me, just a quick introduction. I am Hannah Carr. I'm a naturopathic nutritionist. I'm one half of the sisters that run this group. Sarah's a yoga teacher and a breathwork coach, and I'm the nutritionist. I am a yoga teacher, but I haven't taught yoga in a while, so I don't feel like I can use that title at the moment. I'm a cacao practitioner. You probably see me talk about cacao a bit as well, and a tropic ambassador. But the main thing I do is I'm a naturopathic nutritionist, and I actually started years ago as like a general practitioner, if you like. So a bit like if you go to your GP, you can tell your GP that you've got anything wrong, and he can kind of give you some general advice. So that's how I started. That's how a lot of nutritionists will start. But that takes a lot for the practitioner particularly, it takes up a lot of time, energy, mental space, because people are coming with, you know, all different problems, and you kind of have to have your finger on the pulse of all of it, right? And the challenges that I personally suffered, you probably know if you've been hanging out here for a while, is I suffered with chronic fatigue almost. I had adrenal fatigue. I was just absolutely exhausted the whole time, stressed out all the time, felt overwhelmed all the time. So they're my main three. And I had chronic back pain. So they were my main challenges. So what I decided was, once I had some experience underneath my belt of being almost like a general practitioner in nutrition, I wanted to specialise, and really I wanted to specialise in what I knew. So I understand fatigue, stress, overwhelm, chronic pain, and so I wanted to help other. First of all, it started with men and women, but then really I started to dive a lot deeper into hormones and helping women with their hormonal health. So it may be part of your hormonal problems. I haven't really massively struggled with my menstrual cycle. I have had PMT before. I have had heavy periods at times. It hasn't been a huge personal struggle for me. However, I must say, when I help women with their hormonal health generally, menstrual cycle is a huge problem. So that is a big part of what I do as well. And what I found is, we're doing this for a few years now, of just concentrating on the fatigue, the stress, the overwhelm, chronic pain, the menstrual cycle, so the hormonal health, is there are 5 critical steps that you must do to balance your hormones naturally. Now, it may be that another practitioner has their own thing and they have their own method, but this is my method. This is what I used for me, this is what I use for my clients, and we see amazing results. So I'm going to go through those at the end, the 5 critical steps, but first of all I want to talk about some of the things that may not be working that you might be trying. Okay, so I'm going to say the number 1, and I bet there's a lot of women in here, and I probably need to after lockdown as well, right? Let's be honest, lose a bit of weight. So we've all been moving a lot less, or if you're anything like me, I've been moving a lot less, okay? I haven't been running the kids to clubs. I've only been going out for my daily walk with my dog, trying to do a bit of exercise at home. Not really loving doing the exercise at home. I'd much rather go out to a class, like to a yoga class, to a Pilates class, perhaps even to the gym. I go through fits and starts with the gym. I'm sure there's many people here that are exactly the same. I get bored with it sometimes, and other times I'm back. But I much prefer that than just being, you know, in my own room somewhere upstairs exercising by myself. So exercise has waned a little bit during lockdown. And so many women that I work with want to concentrate on weight loss, but this is a huge mistake of focusing on that first. So if you've got good health, you probably wouldn't be here in this group, okay? This is what attracted you to the group: fight, fatigue, stress and anxiety naturally, or it used to be called fight, fatigue, stress and overwhelm naturally, but we do a lot more of anxiety, so we had the anxiety on. So if your health was perfect, you probably wouldn't be in this group, right? If your health is really, really good, then you may be able to concentrate on your weight loss and feel good. However, if your health is not good, I believe it's a mistake to focus on weight loss first. Why? Because often when we focus on losing weight, we do it in an unhealthy way. And I'm going to talk about some of the big popular diets that are out there and why they may not be right for you. Okay, and so when we do it in an unhealthy way, what we may be doing is compounding some of our hormone imbalance and making that hormone imbalance make the hormone imbalance worse in the name of or in the aim of trying to lose some weight. Okay, so you might lose the weight, but your energy might be on the floor. You might lose the weight, your mental health may not be feeling good because you're not supporting your body in the right way. Okay, so I believe that we should be focusing on our health first. I feel quite strong and passionate about this. My dog is making a lot of noise in the background. Sounds like it's just gone out. I believe that we should be focusing on our hormonal health and on our health first. And when you do that in that process, it's very likely that you will lose weight. And if you haven't lost weight in that process, then focus on the weight loss, because you'll have the energy, you'll have the mental clarity, you'll have the capacity, rather than feeling overwhelmed all the time, to then be able to focus on the weight loss. So it might be that your diet's really good and it's actually just that you need to move more. If you've got no energy, you're not going to be able to keep up with your exercise, are you? So let me know if what I'm saying is resonating with you, if you feel like, yes, this is me, or you may feel completely different. That's fine as well. We're all allowed to have our own opinion. So I'm talking from my personal experience, what I experience with my clients, and my personal opinion. So if you're deficient in things like fats, that's like essential fatty acids, vitamins or minerals, then dieting may make that worse, okay? Diets aren't written with your health in mind. Diets are written, so the diet plan is written to help you lose weight, not to help you get healthier. That's not what the promise is. The promise is to help you lose weight, not get healthier. The diet you may be following or thinking about following may not be written for women. So it might be written by men. They may be basing it on how they feel, okay? So not actually written for women and their hormones in mind. The diet you're following probably isn't written for hormonal health, which is likely something that you need help with. So I'm going to make a bold suggestion, and I'm not going to say that this is easy, but it is something that I would love you to consider and then decide how it might work for you. But especially if you've tried weight loss for many years and it hasn't worked for you, could you try and accept where you are today? Okay, so not wishing or trying or reaching to lose weight, just accepting where you are. This is me today. Can you go as far as loving yourself enough to work on your health first, and then knowing that the weight will probably fall away as part of that process, or if it doesn't, then you're going to have the energy and the motivation to actually focus on your weight loss once your health is better. So can you love yourself enough to work on your health first instead of your weight first, if you're struggling with your health in any way, shape or form? How does that sound? Let me know if you think that's something that you could consider. So doing it a different way round from perhaps what you've tried it before. Okay, also I wanted to talk about not focusing on the latest diet. So we all want, I think it's like, anything new that comes out is a bit exciting, isn't it? There's new things come out, I want to try it. So it might be in the beauty industry, it might be fashion, mightn't it? Could be diets, but it is exciting to try something new. And I mostly advocate a plant-based diet, so I'm not 100% plant-based myself, but I do feel that plants, so nature, really gives us the gifts to be able to heal ourselves. But I also know that diet isn't right for everyone. So some people may just not want to do that, and that's absolutely fine. But some people are really struggling with their gut health, and they're not going to be able to break down things like beans and lentils. So I know as a nutritionist that not one diet fits everyone, and it may take time to change the right diet for you. It's also really, really hard to balance your hormones completely on a plant-based diet in the beginning. So sometimes when we're really low on energy, what we actually need to do is we need to borrow the energy from an animal or from, a fish to actually help us with our healing. So it can be very, very difficult to do that on just plants alone if you're struggling with your hormonal health or your gut health. Okay. And then I'm going to talk about some specific diets here, and I know it might offend some people, okay, when I'm talking about this, but again, let me just state that this is just my opinion and you're entitled to your own. We don't need to argue about it. It may be one of these diets that I'm going to mention have worked really, really well for you, and if it has, we're all individuals, so what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. So I'm talking about generally here, okay, so it may be different for you, but the diet of Slimming World, I know because I've done it before and I lost weight when I had my son, so he is 12 now. I had a little bit of baby weight to lose, so I went on Slimming World. I'd never done a diet like that before, and I lost the weight really quickly, so it really works. This is what I'm talking about when diets, they are working with your weight in mind but not your health. So when I was on that diet, I found it really strange because I've never really been a person who drinks fizzy drinks before. I found it really strange that you was allowed to drink Diet Coke. I thought, gosh, that isn't health food, but this isn't about health, is it? This is about losing weight. But I wasn't really allowed much avocado or olive oil, okay, but I followed it. Even that kind of went against what I really, really believed. So as an example with that diet, not completely knocking it, it may work for you, but if your body is low on essential fatty acids, which most women with a hormone imbalance are low on the right balance of essential fatty acids, that particular diet, in my experience, can make that problem worse. It can make you more out of balance. So for me personally, when I'd done that diet, I had a lot of cravings for sugar all of the time. So this often happens when you cut out one of your macronutrients. So I'd cut back on fats a lot, really stripped my fats out. Then it left me craving something, and it left me craving sugar. And then I believe that it had a knock-on effect for my hormones and this exhaustion that I later experienced in my life. So it caused health problems further down the line. Okay, so that's one diet and one challenge that it might present for you. Okay, Joe Wicks, I've got his cookbook over there. I love his exercise, but what he is sharing is not necessarily for women with hormone imbalance, right? So I know that, for example, if you're really, really low on energy, HIIT exercise is probably not going to help you. It's going to drain you further. Yes, exercise does give us energy, but not if we are really, really depleted. We need to be kinder and more gentle to ourselves. So exercise aside, some of his recipes have things like white bagels and white bread in them, and we know that's not that healthy for us, don't we? Of course we know that. So if you've got a problem like pre-diabetic, for example, that kind of food is really not going to help you. So again, those specific foods are not right for that type of person. So this is what I'm saying, not one diet is right for everyone, okay? The Cambridge diet, so I know lots of women have lost loads and loads of weight on the Cambridge diet, so you're mostly having soups and shakes, and it's already ready for you. But what is that not doing? It's not teaching you how to eat healthily in the real world. It's not teaching you healthy habits. It's not modelling good eating behaviours to your children for them to learn how to take care of themselves. So again, you might lose lots of weight on it. It might work for you, probably in the short term. And you know, they say that it's giving you all the nutrients that you need, maybe, but is it once you actually don't want those foods anymore, once you're sick of those soups or those you know, the shakes that you're making up, have you got the skills to go forward then and carry on in real life and make good decisions with food? It's the question, isn't it? Ketogenic. So ketogenic is super, super popular, works for many, many people. Again, not knocking this for everyone, but it's got quite high fat. Now, not everyone is able to metabolize that through their liver and gallbladder, okay? So it depends on your liver health, your gallbladder health, where you are in your life with your organs, whether that diet would actually be good for you or not. So the point that I'm trying to reach is you need to find what works for you, and that answer can be so frustrating. You just think, just give me the answer, you know, the answer, what is the answer for me? But you really need to pay attention to what your body is telling you. Are you doing that? It's not always easy at the beginning when you've never done it before. So let's look at emotions, for example. So I'm going to tell you, if you've got these emotions, these are the body part. These are the body parts that you need to look at. If you're feeling anger and irritation, not so much these days, but that was a really big one for me. Anyone else? Anger and irritation. This is your liver and gallbladder telling you that it needs a little bit of attention. I didn't know that before I studied nutrition. Why would I, and why would you? Okay, but our bodies can give us signals. If you're feeling a lot of fear or a lot of guilt, that is often the kidneys and the bladder that needs a little bit of TLC. If you're feeling grief, so we store grief in the lungs, or maybe a feeling of cut off, so you feel quite maybe depressed, cut off from the bigger picture of life, like you're all by yourself. This could be the lungs, it could be the colon, it could be the mind, so the brain, yeah, that needs more support. If you're feeling a lack of joy, that's one that I definitely used to have. That's the heart that needs some attention, and often we've kind of closed that heart energy down. So it may be that it needs some attention with some foods, but it might be more of a releasing that you need around your heart. Maybe you've built up some cages around your heart to protect it, and that you need to let go of some of that. If you're suffering from a lot of worry, or your empathy, and we love empathy, but maybe it's turned into sympathy, that you just feel really sorry for people all the time, and perhaps you overgive, that is a sign that your stomach and your spleen needs a little bit of attention. So, is any of this resonating with you? Are you feeling like you're learning something? Are you feeling like your body is communicating to you and you don't really know how to read it? If so, this is when I would say that working with a professional can help you understand the feedback loops of your body, okay? And you can better understand your own body. So when I work with women, it's not like I heal them, but I give them the tools to help them heal themselves, to better understand their own body. And I want to be really honest here and tell you that I really didn't know how to do this before. My body used to give me warning signs. And I'm going to talk about some of the small warning signs that your body may be giving you. They're quite subtle. So it may be a gut instinct or a knowing that this is right for me, or this is wrong with me, or when I had adrenal fatigue, first of all, my doctor told me that I might have POTS syndrome, POTS, POTS syndrome. I had a gut instinct. That's not what it is, okay? So you might have an inner knowing or a gut instinct. It might be, your body might be giving you these signs like, I'm tired, but you just push through all the time. That's one I've definitely done all the time. So are you pushing through your tiredness all of the time? Have you got a little niggling pain that you're just ignoring? Yeah, you're not dealing with it. Have you got regular headaches? Or I used to have blinding migraines, and you're just normalising it. Yeah, like, oh, I've had this for years, this is just me. No, that is your body giving you some feedback that something's not right. Or maybe you've got something like really heavy periods, and again, you're just living with it because you've always had it. You've tried a few things that haven't worked to try and bring your menstrual cycle a little bit more in balance. So you've just accepted it. So all of those, and there's so many more, I could go on and on there, but there's lots of kind of subtle signs that the body will give you. And then the signs will become not so subtle. So for me, excruciating back pain, okay? And then it turned into tendonitis, and I had tendonitis in my right shoulder. The first time I had it for 6 weeks. I couldn't get dressed, I couldn't wash my hair, I couldn't look after my kids, I couldn't drive. I was in so much pain. I remember even walking and trying to walk down a curb. I was in agony. I had to carry my arm in a sling, and I couldn't sleep at night. So this is like, my body is no longer giving me subtle signs that something's out of balance. My body is screaming at me, right? I still didn't really change my diet or lifestyle at that point because I didn't understand it. That was the bottom line. I didn't understand, okay? Like I said, I had blinding migraines for years. I had this constant exhaustion where I was just dog tired the whole time. I've shared the time when I was driving and I almost fell asleep at the wheel. These kind of very, very unsafe things were happening. I'd need to lay down on the floor by 6 o'clock in the evening because my back would be killing me so much and I'd hardly be able to finish cooking the dinner. Sob story, I know. But my body was screaming at me for attention. So is your body giving you subtle signs that something's not right, or screaming at you? I also had things like insomnia, so I couldn't sleep at night, a lot of palpitations and breathlessness, dizziness, a lot of things like that going on. So is your body screaming at you? So I want to briefly tell you what I believe are the 5 critical steps, okay? Well, what has worked for me, what's worked for my clients, when in 12 weeks we're looking to restore energy, we're looking to reduce stress, we're looking to balance hormonal health, okay? So 5 critical steps are, number 1, and this should always be number 1, is to give your energy a reboot, okay? If you haven't got enough energy, you won't be able to carry on with any of the other steps. So this has to be the number 1. And we do that by balancing blood sugar levels. If you're on that up and down all day of needing sugar and crashing and needing sugar and crashing, and you've got like the 11 a.m. kind of slump and then the 3 o'clock slump, and you're dragging your body through the day, we need to balance blood sugar levels, number 1. Okay, number 2 is then to start looking at gut health, and we have to do that second because you need the energy to keep up with some of these habits. So depending where your gut health is, you may need to do a little bit of work, or you may need to do a lot of work on your gut health. But digestion takes up a lot of energy. So imagine if you're not digesting well, that's going to take up even more energy. So eating is going to take up a ton of your energy. Plus, you're not going to be absorbing the nutrients from your food, which is then going to leave you with less energy again. So food is not really going to give you energy, it's going to be depleting you with energy to digest it, and then you're not really absorbing your nutrients. So things like, a lot of people have these vitamin B12 deficiencies, they're really not absorbing it through the gut. It's not normally that you're not getting enough of B12 through your diet unless you're vegan and you've been vegan for many years. if you're eating, you know, meat, then you're probably getting enough B12 through your diet. But if you're low on B12, you're not absorbing it for some reason. So then we need to look at gut health. Okay, next thing, so your gut health's better, you've balanced your blood sugar levels. Then if your energy's still really low, or your hormones are not feeling balanced still, then we need to look at what is sapping your energy. So is there something that's sapping your energy? And usually it's that you need a little bit of a detox. It's usually the liver. Okay, so I mentioned the liver earlier, and I was mentioning if you're feeling irritated, if you're feeling angry, all of that is showing us signs of the liver. If you've got regular headaches, if you've got problems with your eyes, maybe conjunctivitis, gritty eyes, anything like that, even poor eyesight, that's to do with the liver as well. There's one other thing that I wanted to say about the liver there. Oh, if you're feeling nauseous, so maybe if you're eating food and you're feeling a bit sick, or you feel a bit nauseous in the morning when you wake up, again, that's liver as well. So what happens is we have these hormones in the body, the hormones are used up or metabolized, and then we need to eliminate them. Well, we can't eliminate them if the liver's not doing the job properly. So what we do is we end up reabsorbing these used up, these metabolized hormones, and it saps our energy big time. So a bit like that feeling of when you're constipated and you feel sluggish and horrible. That's what it feels like when you're reabsorbing metabolized hormones. So we need to make sure the liver health is good. And a lot of people they just don't even know they need to look after their liver health. So that's a really important one. So that was number 3. Number 4 is to replenish your nutrients. So if you're low on essential fatty acids, I've mentioned that earlier, or any of the main any of the main vitamins and minerals that balance hormones, so things like B vitamins, magnesium, for some people it might be zinc, it could be vitamin D. There's quite a few different vitamins and minerals that we need the right balance to have energy. So if you're low on them and you're not addressing that, then you're not really going to be feeling a lot better. Okay, and the 5th one is to manage your stress. So this is massively overlooked. You could be doing the first 4, but if you are stressed out all the time, and it might be perceived stress, so it might not be that you've got a really, really stressful job, you just have perceived stress. You're stressed that you're running late, you're stressed that, you know, the kids nearly got to school didn't get to school on time, you're stressed that your husband didn't pick up his socks from the side of the bed, whatever it is that stresses us out in life. If you are not managing your stress, the first 4, all of that work is going to be undone. So things like if you've got eczema that's flaring up from nowhere or seemingly nowhere, is that stress? Has your colitis flared up? You know, are you dealing with your stress? So we have to have a look at this as part of that picture of healing the hormones, is to get your stress under control. So they are the 5 steps. And what I'd like to do, if this is interesting for you, hi Brady, hi Laura, hi Rio, hi Natalie, thank you all for saying hello. If you'd like to know more about it, I'm going to run a mini training series next week, if that would be helpful for you. So I'm thinking about running it Monday to Friday, and each of those days I'll go through each one of those 5 critical steps to balance your hormones in a little bit more detail. So if you'd like to come to that, drop your name below, just say, what should you say? Say mini-series. So type below mini-series, whether you're watching this live now or you're watching it on replay, type mini-series below, because I haven't decided the times. I've got to work out my diary for next week and just see what time I'm consistently available. And so I'll put a post together with what times are going to be in the group next week, and I'll tag you in so you don't miss that. So just type below mini-series if you'd like to come next week. So I'm going to be running 5 days of training and jumping into each of those areas in a little bit more detail to help you balance your hormones naturally, using nutrition, using detoxification, using stress management. And I believe that they are all important steps in balancing your hormones and your health and maintaining it. So a bit like weight loss, not just losing the weight but keeping it off, right? So with the hormones, we want to balance the hormones and then we want to keep them balanced, and I want you to have the tools to be able to carry on doing that. And you know, our life changes at different stages, right? But once you've got those tools, you know basically how to look after yourself. That's the bottom line, isn't it? It's to know how to listen to your body and its feedback loop, and how to look after yourself, and how to create the time to look after yourself. That's a big one as well. Like, lots of us aren't doing that. And that is something that we constantly need to keep up with. So just type mini-series below. Just going to say that one more time. Hi, Sandra. Type it below if you want to come next week. It's going to be 5 days of free training to give you more information on each of these steps. So I hope that's helpful for you. If you know anyone else this might help, please tag them in. If they're not in the group already, invite them to the group. If you've got anyone who's a friend, a loved one, a sister, a colleague who you think this information would be really useful to, invite them to the group and then tag them in to this video if you think it's going to be helpful for them. You in then, and I will see you next week. And Sarah has on Friday, it's normally the breathing break, she may be changing it. This is interesting, I'd love a bit of feedback. Was talking about like mixing things up for you here in the group. Would you like a little bit of yoga instead on a Friday morning? That would be interesting to hear if you're interested in that. So she could change it from the breathing break for a while to talk about, we was talking about maybe not even necessarily like a yoga class, but talking about if you're struggling with sleep, this posture would be good for you. If you're struggling with heavy periods, this posture would be good for you. So let me know if that's useful. That's another really, really good tool in